Hey everyone, my name is Rooster and welcome back to another Mechabellum gameplay review. I am sitting in a blanket today because I've been feeling a little bit under the weather these past few days, but I really wanted to get a video out for you guys and I think you really might learn something from this replay I have. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now I will be on the blue side and I picked up quick supply with steel ball crawlers, very classic standard setup, strong specialist with these units. Steel ball stang rushes work still at pretty much any level of the game. Strong in the meta as always. And my opponent decides to pick up giant specialists, starting out with marksmen and mustangs. Now when I saw this, I immediately thought, you know, that's not too bad of a start for me. Mustangs will struggle a bit against steel balls and will also struggle, at least in the early levels, against this amount of crawlers. And same pretty much for his marksman. So I should be able to snowball and get an early lead, which is something you really want to have when you go for these type of pushes. Steel balls aren't really good at level 1. They really need the level 2. Same thing as rhinos. And so if you can like secure a couple of the early rounds, kill all of the enemy units, get some XP on the steel balls, you're in a good spot. And I do already pick up one more pack of stangs and also one set of crawlers just to make sure that I use all of my deployments. My opponent goes for crawlers in front of the towers. Pretty interesting. Probably does expect a rush from my side, which is honestly a sensible thing to expect. Steel ball crawler starts almost always, I would say like 75% of the time, will be rushes, if not more. And we are making relatively quick work here of the stangs, getting to the tower. Debuff comes through. Left side wasn't a problem at all. In fact, my crawlers actually managed to beat my opponent's crawlers, I think. And so we are already in a good spot. Now, mass-produced sledgehammer here, picked up for my opponent. Actually a really good card to stop these types of pushes, because you can just pump out a whole bunch of sledges for half the cost, put them in columns, and they will stunt the attack of these steel balls massively. So if you ever find yourself in this type of position and this card is offered, I believe it's a very, very good answer to buy your damage dealing units some time, because it just stops these pushes in their tracks. For me, this isn't ideal because, I mean, sledges are slow, so yeah, it's not what I'm going for. I decided to pick up the intensive training here. Thinking ahead, I might want to pivot out of this setup and go for more of a stang-oriented thing in the long run. Missile strike could have been fine for some immediate value. I probably could have taken out a whole bunch of units, but deciding to go for intensive training instead. I pick up another pack of stangs, as well as putting some crawlers on the flank, and that means that round 2 is ours as well. Steel balls have been leveled, by the way, with the intensive training. And as you can see, they are really hard to deal with, even when my opponent has this many sledges. And the good thing is, I can always sell this, so it's fine. I am aware that, oh, this might become a problem at some stage. I might have to pivot, but I can always refund the upgraded cost by just selling the unit, which is fine. And right now, it's giving me a good lead. Improved firepower control system is shown immediately on round number 3. Still one of the strongest items with regards to cost. Efficiency for mustangs, so both of us do pick it up. Immediately slamming it onto the mustangs that were able to get leveled as well. And this is where I start to pick up Stormcallers. The reason I do this is because although sledges in the long run tend to be pretty good against Stormcallers, that is not the case for mass-produced sledgehammers. They are very, very squishy targets, and they're more akin to chaff. So you can do massive damage to these if you pick up some Stormcallers, and especially when you run the high explosive ammo. And this is one of the things I wanted to show in this game, is using high explosive ammo. I have been using this tech upgrade for the past week and a half or so, and I have to say it's probably my favorite upgrade right now on Stormcallers, even more so than Incendiary, because it kind of does the same job, but it seems to be way more consistent. And it's just, yeah, super nice to have. It's really cheap as well. And already we can see my Stormcallers are putting in absolute work. Now the left side is starting to lose now because my opponent decided to put some sledgehammers over there as well. So we are losing the tower, unfortunately. And this round definitely a lot closer. Let's see if we can close things out. Tower debuff will come through, so that will help massively. There's a couple crawlers here gnawing at my Stormcallers, but these guys can help out, and we do manage to win round number 3 as well. Senior attack being offered is a very good card because, as I said, I want to go for high explosive ammo, and that reduces the attack of the Stormcallers, so I can kind of mitigate that debuff by picking up this card. And then I likely will want to pivot because I've already sold my level 1 steel balls, and I'm trying to pivot out of it, going for more of a Fang or a Stang Fortress setup. So Stangs will be my carry units, and getting damage on them is just, well, insane. Opponent instead picked up Barrier. I mean, he is a giant specialist, and it's a very good item, so defensively it makes a lot of sense. Goes for the Vulcan. And I'm starting to pivot here because these sledges are just going to be too much. I can't continue this whole push with the steel ball Stangs. At least I don't think so. And I'd rather pivot right now and try something that I believe has a higher chance of success. Mechanical Rage being picked up. So a lot of shaft clear for my opponent. Sledges alongside Vulcan. Focusing on clearing these crawlers, clearing the Mustangs. And that is exactly why I'm starting to pivot now. I added another pack of Stormcallers here on the left, by the way, trying to slow down this advance. And I also put some Phoenixes on the flank here, by the way. I saw that this tower was open, so really trying to make use of the tower debuffs here. This is something that you should always look for, in my opinion, if you're going for rushes. Just try and keep the tempo as high as possible. Create problems all around the map, but don't overinvest. So don't use like your whole deployment phase just to get like a single tower and then win a round just because of that. Because the gap in the opponent's defense will likely be fixed next time around. And you have to think about, okay, but in the long run, is my army in the, you know, where the main attack is happening, is that still strong enough? But it's fine to go for these types of Phoenix flanks, which you can then just sell. It's only one unit, or you can even move them if you want to make use of Phoenixes and you run Jump Drive. That is fine. Strike Specialist picked up for both of us. Opponent might start looking to flank us as well. Hasn't done so up till now, which I was quite grateful for. But that is something that he could do now as well. His defense seems to be in an okay position. He probably lost because of the tower debuff last turn. And he can start to look to basically sabotage my rounds now by going for the towers, which are relatively open still. I pick up range on the Mustangs, and I've sold my last pack of steel balls there, and picking up even more Stormcallers here with the high explosive ammo finally being teched. Stangs now on this side as well. Opponent is going for a flank, so lucky for me I did put some Stangs over here. Arclight going to spawn in, should die. And I decided to jump drive my Phoenixes back to my main army instead of selling them, because I decided to sell the steel balls and I thought it was worth the 50 investment. Baiting as well a sentry missile out of my opponent. Always some nice small economic wins in that regard. And yeah, so 2 packs of Stormcallers. More Mustangs. Range on the Mustangs. High explosive on the Stormcallers. This is a big pivot round for us. Making good use of our recovered credits from those leveled steel balls. Opponent going for the oil. It's not having the biggest effect, although now it does set on fire because of the Vulcan. But that is honestly kind of fine. At least it won't be there next round to be set on fire. And if we can take out as much stuff here as possible, the round isn't looking too terrible. If we can take out the Vulcan, that would be ideal. Saving ourselves 400 hit points is always nice. And there we go. Tucker striking back on round number 6. Or round number 5, actually, as we now enter round number 6. None of these are all that amazing, although enhancement module could be good, so I decided to pick that up. And interestingly, my opponent goes for speed specialist, and I go for the enhancement module, which as giant spec, enhancement module can be really good, and I actually think he probably should have picked it there. I guess maybe trying to cover some ground, also trying to evade some of these shots from the Stormcallers. But as giant specialist, you can get such huge economic leads with the Stonk module, as we call it. I decided to level up my Stormcallers and use my intensive training on them as well. Now, what I probably should have done in hindsight is buy these two and probably sell this Stormcaller pack and then level one of the fortresses to level 2 already for free with the Stonk module. Just switch it on there. That would have been way better. So this is a small mistake from me. I haven't used my field recovery, which is just a mistake. Like I should be leveling this once with the Stonk module, selling it, put the Stonk module on one of the fortresses, level it with intensive training, and then have a free, basically, level 2 fortress. Deciding to move my Phoenixes to the other side, as my opponent did put way more stuff on the flank, so really trying to go for my left tower, but I did predict it, so able to defend, although now we're having some problems here with the left advance. But as you can see, once those Stormcaller missiles land, oh my days, they deal so much damage. And because of the high explosive, they're actually really... like, look at that. I mean, they are level 3 Stormcallers, so actually they're doing quite a bit of work here. Second in terms of damage in the round. And second overall of my entire team up till now. But yeah, the high explosive just basically makes it so that nearly every rocket will hit and deal damage. And you don't even really notice the decreased attack all that much. Unless your opponent goes for like really a lot of giants and units with high hit points, then you might starting to feel the difference. But as long as you have a lot of Stormcallers, the accuracy gain that you get kind of makes up for the loss of damage that you usually have, because Stormcallers tend to miss their targets. So here is where I pick up barrier. Let's see if I decide to sell this Stormcaller, because I really think I should at this point. Opponent picking up a melting point now. Doesn't like these fortresses that he's seeing at all. And I decide to buy a Vulcan. The reason I do this, and I've been liking this a lot in my games, is it just destroys these type of setups. And a lot of people like to put their Mustangs on the outside and then they put nothing in front of it to defend them, and Vulcans just eat that for breakfast. They will demolish the Stangs. It will also pull away the units, while So that makes things easier on this side of the board. And then the Vulcan will usually just clear the Stangs, get the tower debuff, which is just a wonderful way to create, well, one, to win a round, two, to create kind of a panic response from your opponent, because you can just sell it next turn and get back the 400 investment. And I think a lot of people don't necessarily expect that always. Like, people expect the Phoenix flanks, but the Vulcan flanks go unanswered sometimes. And these are level 2 Mustangs with haste module, by the way. And range as well. And my Mustang, even though he still had to spawn in, manages to win. Although it looks like I was winning regardless. And that actually pushes things over the edge and securing me the game well and truly. So relatively quick game here, but I think it showed a lot of positive changes, I guess, or positive decision making on my side. I would say for my opponent, picking up the sledges was definitely a wonderful idea. It made it so that I had to pivot out of my steel balls, because I probably would have gotten stuck and he would have made a successful defense. From my side of the board, I think it was a fantastic idea to pivot, recognizing that my push likely wouldn't be successful anymore, and instead going for something different. The Stormcallers did huge amounts of work for me, especially in the mid game, or like the early to mid game. I would highly recommend that you try out high explosive ammo for yourself. It works wonders against Fang spam. It works very well against things like the mass-produced Sledgehammer card, which when it shows up is picked up more often than you might think. And it also works very, very well against things like Stangs. One salvo will usually just take out the entire pack of Stangs. So yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to show you guys today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to leave a like. Subscribe if you want to stay up to date with all my latest content. Check me out on Twitch for whenever I'm live. And with that being said, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.